Coach has had a chance to talk to you a couple times since we played last, and obviously that was a good performance by the whole team. The important thing for us is to get back in the moment now and start our training and preparation for the Packers. And once you do something well, of course, in this business, you want to try to recreate it and be consistent. So the challenge for us will be to come out here and put together another good week of training like we did last week to try to then convert it to a good performance on Sunday. So that's where we're at. I'll take that question.
I want to ask you about Nick's touch on deep balls. How much of that is just arm strength? How much of it is really just timing between different receivers? And what goes into hitting those plays?
Well, when you're accurate throwing a deep ball, there's a lot of elements to it. I think he's a good deep ball thrower. I think on the deep balls we hit the other night, we hit the coop on the post, of course, and then later in the game to D-Jack, I thought that they ran good routes, and but he put good air on the ball, and both guys were able to run through.
Pat, you've overseen the development of a lot of young quarterbacks. What's the sample size it usually takes for you to determine whether that piece of training is going?
You just keep playing. I think we'll all know, and really we just stay in the moment. I say that each week, and that's just the way we function. And so what we try to do is you'd like to see guys perform well on a weekly basis. Every once in a while, you have some games better, not so good, and then you have some games where you're really grooving. But along the way, I stand here and tell you see improvement, and I think that's what we've seen from Nick. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
But there's a point with any quarterback you need to determine. You need to make a determination. Is this a guy going forward, or is he better?
Yeah, those are discussions and decisions you make in the off season. Right now, all our energy is devoted to getting ready to play the Packers. Beyond that, I think we're selling ourselves short. We're not doing what's best for this team if we worry about anything other than playing the Packers.
Chip said that you guys pretty much called the same offense, same game, pretty much the same as the previous season. Why do you guys feel so committed to that team and stick with it?
Well, we believe in our scheme, and I felt like we executed better on Sunday, and that's why we had success. We believe in what we do. We believe in the players we put on the field, and the challenge is for us to just go out and play good ball. And we as coaches got to give them good stuff to work with.
Now, was this the best game that Lane Johnson's played?
I thought Lane played extremely well, the run and the pass. As a rookie, there were still a handful of plays in there where you're saying you got to be much better. But yeah, I thought he played very, very well. And the challenge for him now is to go out and put another good performance on the field.
Nick's done a very good job of protecting the ball, even going back to the rookie season. I mean, right now he's only had thrown 5 interceptions. You coached a guy who was as good as anybody at not throwing interceptions like that. I mean, what's the approach in quarterbacks and the similarities in those two guys that enable them to have such a good respect for the football?
Well, I think you're hitting the nail on the head. There has to be a legitimate respect for the football and not turning it over. I think that's number one. I think number two, the quarterback, when he's throwing the ball, has to be a good decision maker. And every once in a while, a guy that doesn't throw interceptions or takes care of the football will pull back on one. That's just the nature of it. There are some guys that are cavalier, and if you put them out there, they're going to throw picks quite a bit. Nick has a great respect for the football. He understands how protecting the football is important, winning football games. But yet, the other night, he was very decisive in making his throws, whether they were long, intermediate, or short.
Looked like Nick used some fakes and used his eyes to move the safeties back there and get guys open. Was that kind of a game plan thing, or how important was that to some of those deep plays?
Yeah, there were some plays where he did a good job of looking guys off, pump faking. That's just part of what we do. But the quarterbacks develop a strategy on each play in each situation to really use that to his advantage.
In the NFL, how important is it to have 3 quarterbacks that you trust to get on there at any time?
3? We like to have a bunch, more than 3, but yeah, it's important. We saw again last night where the Packers ended ended up playing with Seneca Wallace. So I think what's important is you put a starter on the field, you do everything in your power to support him so he can go out and help you win football games. And then beyond or behind that player, you've got to keep developing whoever's there, because they're one play from being in there. And I think the same can be said for all the positions.
Now, can you be too conscious of not throwing interceptions? Do you look for a happy medium between being careful, and then you look at a guy like Brett Favre with a Hall of Fame career, who was a riverboat gambler and didn't ever worry about that?
Yeah, I think it's a fine line, and it's a judgment. It's that feel that they have naturally, where they're aggressive, yet they have a respect for the football. And every once in a while, interceptions happen. You know, you could be doing everything right, and the ball gets tipped, or you can do everything right, and the receiver drops it, or there's numerous reasons why interceptions happen. And then there are times when it's just a flat-out bad decision, bad throw, you put the ball in harm's way. And so I think, when we evaluate it, each time anything bad happens, we kind of put them in those categories.
Seneca Wallace.
Yes.
If you were writing a scouting report on Seneca Wallace, what would it say?
Well, the one thing about Seneca is he's a very veteran player. He knows how to play this game. He's got a good set of legs on him, and he can move around and make throws. I think he's got a very strong arm, and he's played long enough in their system, Mike's system, to be efficient. So I think if Seneca ends up playing this week, we got to be prepared for a guy that can execute at a high level, and really he can be dangerous using his legs as well.
What are some of the things that you tried to improve in his play when you were coaching him?
All the normal attributes, all the normal skills that you see from a quarterback: decision making, timing, accuracy. But he's on the Green Bay Packers roster for a reason. He's their backup, and in the case of last night, he was in there playing quite a bit. And so, if for some reason Aaron Rodgers can't go, we anticipate he'll play.
I get back to the scheme and sticking with the basics of it. Did you feel like there were missed opportunities the previous weeks for the series, and that's why you felt confident kind of going back to it, and you felt that Nick would be able to go back to hitting those guys that were open?
Well, you're circling back. We believe in our scheme, and we did not execute our scheme well. And we as coaches didn't give the players good enough stuff to work with, and we didn't play well in those two games that you're talking about. This past week, we ran the same scheme, we executed better, and the results were much better.
What have you seen from Riley?
Well,
He's going to you.
it's similar to that question. There's a clear difference between Riley's numbers with Nick at quarterback and Mike at quarterback. So what do you attribute that to?
I don't know. I don't know why that is. I think I've always said receptions come in bunches. I wouldn't say that Nick's looking to Riley more than, say, Mike is. I don't think that would be something I've done with. I would say that our guys battled the other night, and Nick made some good throws.
What have you seen from Riley? I mean, obviously the last 4 weeks compared to the first 5 weeks, and maybe it's part of it that Nick has spent some time on the scout team with Riley, and maybe over the last year they've spent some time with Riley.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can develop anything there. I would say that Riley battles each week. He practices hard, and he's always out there battling in the run game and the pass game. They come in bunches. He may not get as many touches this week, and it may have nothing to do with who's in the game. It just may happen that way.
Where'd you see your tight ends this weekend? Was there a conscious effort to get them involved, or was it just because it was hot and that was the flow of the game?
No, it was just the flow of the game. We've got plays where they're first or second in the progression. And then there was plays in the game when they caught the ball when they were third or fourth in the progression. So it's just the way the game flows. We got James Casey in there a little bit more, and he did well. And then of course we hit Hurts on a touchdown throw, which he really was not the primary read. As you saw, Nick pump faked and then scrambled, and he was in the right spot and was able to catch the ball. So he caught a touchdown in that case, but he was really not the primary threat.
How do you handle Nick this week? His jersey's being sent to Canton. It's going to get a lot of attention. Do you bring that up with him at all? Do you ignore it?
Well, you guys have been around. You've been around Nick long enough to know his demeanor, and it's very. I mean, that's very natural and that's very real when it comes to Nick behind the scenes. He's in there preparing right now, just like he would if he was last week talking about what he did the previous week. And so we don't worry about that with him. I think he's like any player. You feel good because you had a good performance, but you know that every team in the league is dealing with Tuesday in preparation for their next game, and we're just trying to recreate that process.
And all they measure years of coaching, where would you rank like Nick's performance?
Well, just the pure numbers. I mean, that's got to be one of the top ones that I've been around in terms of just when you just cut out these are the numbers of what happened, and then he did some good things behind the scenes as well. So that was one of the better ones I've been around for sure.
Chip mentioned that Bryce Brown did a good job of squaring the shoulders.
He did.
Sunday. Is that something you guys are kind of working on with him, trying to improve?
Yeah, we've been working. The backs are doing a good job. We have numerous paths that we take when we run the football. He did a good job the other day. Now, part of it was we got the edge sealed the right way, and he saw it, and he got his foot down and got vertical, and I think that was good. He's a big physical runner, and if we can get him to the corner and get his pads turned toward the goal line, I think that's good for all of us.
It looked like Nick had a clean pocket for most of the game. Is that how you saw it too? And how important is that?
No, I thought the pass protection was pretty good for the most part. There were a couple times, there ended up being 3 penalties on one play when he took a hit. There was a couple of holes and then I guess a personal foul. That was really the only solid lick he took in the pocket. And so for the most part, the pass protection was good. But again, we have a new challenge this week.
The Packers use like 2 different defensive lines, maybe out running and passing. Do a lot of teams do that, and is it just as simple as waiting for them to put the guys in to run, or how do you approach it?
Well, we like to try to control it. If we put big people out there, they typically match with big people, and they have some big people inside. Make no mistake. And then when we go to 3 receivers or whatnot, it becomes a matchup thing, and so they get players on the field to match up how we do things. And so it's just part of how you play it.
And you can make it harder for them by keeping your pace brisk, right?
Yeah, I mean, we like to think that playing with tempo helps eliminate some of the substitutions they might make. That's a good little value.
Any Vic today?
They should be out there for sure.
Doing what?
Practicing.
I mean, like, to what
As
extent?
quarterback?
No, to what extent? To what
You'll see. He'll be out there.
We get cut off.
You do? That's a bummer. It works out that way. I guess is you still find out what happened. That's just my guess. I'll stay in my lane on that one. All right.
All right, thanks guys.